Hi guys, welcome to Art Starters. This is Miss Rankin. Good morning. So we are moving on to the principles of design. We've finished the 7 elements of art, and so we're moving on today. And we're going to focus today on rhythm. So what we're going to do is we're working on Aboriginal kind of dot drawings or paintings. And rhythm is really cool because it's a visual tempo or movement with the use of patterns. So it's a repetitive pattern a lot of times that is, I'm going to zoom in here so you can see a little bit better, which is repeated over the surface of your image to create motion or movement. And that is portrayed by the way that your eye moves across the composition of the artwork. And we've got a lot going on here. This is a snake or a cobra, and a lot of the things that are subject matter for Aboriginal art would be reptiles and animals. And these long strips that are on here, that represents water or pathways. And a lot of times the circular patterns are representative of trees. It's really interesting, but they break the body of the animal into sections or segments, and a lot of times they'll use dots, the end of a stick, to create an interesting rhythm. So we're going to get started here. This looks very difficult, but it's honestly just a little bit more time consuming than some of our other projects. I am going to kind of map this out as quickly as possible for you. So here we go. We're going to start by creating the shape of our snake, and this is a cobra, and they are what we call stylized, and stylized is an animal that looks a little bit different than it would in real life. And we're just going to make this guy kind of twist around over the surface of our paper. And again, I'm using probably a 4.5 by 5.5, just like I have been. And we are leaving some negative space, which is the space here that is left blank for right now. And I'm just kind of letting my guy kind of swirl around. I'm not breaking the border, which means I'm not going off the edge. I'm containing him within the paper. And got a little fat right there, so I'm going to use my eraser, which comes in handy. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by adding these circular shapes, and I can just map them out quickly because I'm going to actually go back in with marker. And this project is a little bit different. You are going to need marker to do this. You could do it with colored pencil. It would just take longer. If you are working with just strictly pencil, you can do it, but you would have to do it in black and white. So this is one of those things that I would say would be challenging if you don't have some type of marker. But it is also really cool. So I'm going to show you how to do that. And now that I've got enough of these swirlies on here, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the river patterns. And I'm just going to follow them through the passage or the background of my image. And I am just creating these lines or these stripes. Now today you guys are probably wondering what I am listening to. This is actual Aboriginal music. They have a really strange instrument called the didgeridoo or didgeridoo, and it is a long, I don't know, like a gourd type thing that grows, and they can make these animal noises with it. So it's really droning, really interesting type of music. It's a little strange, but you guys have probably heard this type of thing before. And again, the Aboriginal people are the people who were true natives to the continent of Australia. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is begin by using some dots, and I'm going to use the small of my marker, and I'm just going to begin dotting. And what you would do is you would dot the entire surface lines of your picture, and I'm going to not do the whole thing for you. I'm just going to do a section because I want you to to understand how to do this in completion. So I'm just going to go to right here with my snake. And then I'm going to begin by dotting in certain areas. And another way for dotting, or another word for dotting, is called pointillism. And they use a lot of pointillism. Now I am also going to make larger dots along the edge of my snake. And this creates a really fast, cool pattern. So I'm just going to do this in real fast and show you how I'm creating him. Then I'll go back in and do a section of the background. Okay, so I've got that going on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my marker color. And I'm going to begin by just dotting him with another grouping of color. A lot of times they do dotting along the backbone or the spine of the animal, so that is pretty important. So that is what I am choosing to do with this guy. And now I'm going to go in here with maybe a brighter color to kind of set it off. They use a very selective palette of color for their dot paintings. They do use turquoise, but they use what is in the natural environment. A lot of this is from the ground or the earth. It's burnt umber, different types of sands, and the turquoise grounded on a rock. And so they do have browns, yellow ochre, which also comes from a rock, into the surface of their paintings. The next thing I'm going to do is just make a few little stripes going on and fill this guy in. And then we are ready to begin with the background. For the background color, I am just going to begin by dotting these little lines. So I'm just going to do one little section up here. And again, there is no wrong way to do this, but what you are doing is you are following your guidelines that you drew onto the paper. You can also improvise like I am doing right now, and I am choosing to do a tighter circle. And I would do this circle the same colors repeatedly over the background of my paper. So there's another circle here, so I would go ahead and dot that in. Now the dotting, honestly, is what takes you so long. So you're going to dot this in. And this could be a lengthy project if you allow it to be. But let me tell you something. This is also a very relaxing, soothing project. The same way that a Zentangle is soothing to you. You can kind of get caught up in these dots and just kind of get into a meditative state a little bit. And the actual purpose of the didgeridoo is to put you in what they call a dream time or dream-like state. And that kind of helps you. They used to tell stories and things like that. So it's one of those things to think about when you are dealing with other cultures, is to understand their artwork by understanding their ancestry and some of their rituals and things that they would do. And so you are hearing them making animal noises. They're representing different animals. A lot of times they tell stories of dragons and animals past. They have river dragons. They have all kinds of other things. Stories about these different turtles, and in this particular circumstance we are talking about the snake. So I am adding elements of browns and reds and oranges for the most part. I'm going to put a darker brown in here, and I'm going to begin doing some dotting and kind of making it interesting. And I think you guys understand how this is going. It's just a repetitive process. And so honestly, as I am continuing, if I was working this whole picture, I would do the same colors all the way across. And lastly, I think I'm going to put a shade of yellow into this. So I'm going to do just a few coilings of yellow. And the next thing I'm going to do is I feel like it needs a red. So I'm going to go in here with maybe a darker burgundy type color. And I'm going to put this in right here. So I'm going to put some striping in. Alright. Nice. We got some serious music today. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do, guys, is I am going to, if this was a complete image, which it's not, but I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Complete image, I would go in and begin to outline this guy. Oh, I feel like I need to start shouting along with him. Sorry. A little bit crazy. It's interesting to listen to other types of music and culture. A lot of my kids, if you guys were in school right now, you guys would be giving me that look. It's that look like, Miss Rankin, are you for real? But yes, I am for real. Okay, so all I am doing is I am adding patterns and designs into this guy, and you just keep right on working. You can add just as much or as little as you want to, as long as you feel like you get to the point where your project seems finished. Sometimes it is hard to tell. I'm going to give him his eyes in. Maybe I'll give him a snake nose. And there we go. So today, I hope that you have gathered something from this. Again, this is dealing with rhythm. This is Aboriginal art. BAM. And remember, rhythm is your tempo or movement by using patterns in your art. So again, thanks for joining in to show you an example again of the finished work. And I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.